able to get a shutout against St. Francis over the weekend, finish off non-conference play. Now turn your attention to Kent State and getting back into conference play. Thoughts on wrapping up non-conference play and now looking ahead to the MAC?
It's gone by quickly. 4 games, a third of the regular season is already over. The sky is still blue and the weather's warm, and it just seems like it's gone by really quickly. It was good to be back at home, 2 weeks in a row after being gone for 2 weeks, and thought we had a slow start to the game. Thought that St. Francis did a really good job of being creative offensively, and without those 2 takeaways, they were going right down the field on us. We've struggled with taking the ball away, but then ended up, took it away 3 times on Saturday, which was a huge part of the game. Never really got into a rhythm offensively, and special teams made some big plays sort of both ways. Talked about it last night that statistically it probably looked like a good game, but we also, because of penalties, really hurt ourselves in that way. So, we know that we're not where we need to be, nor where we want to be. And so we're excited about a new start, with the MAC conference, and putting everything we have, into this week, taking it one day at a time.
Coach, when you say we're not where we need to be, what do you mean by that?
Well, we talked about this last night. The beginning of the year, no one's good enough to win a MAC championship. I don't think people really think about it that way. We're all at the bottom, if you will, and it's a matter of who can close their gap, who can become, their best, not necessarily the fastest, but, whose ceiling is the highest. I don't know if people ever really think about it that way, but it's pretty clear to me, that this time of year, I don't think that there's any MAC team right now that's good enough to win a MAC championship. We all, right now, we're just concerned with us. We've got to get better. So we need to get better if we want to do the things that we've set out to do.
Coach, obviously the MAC is really good at eating its own. Northern Illinois found that out with Buffalo beating them. When you talk about new players in the program, do you feel there's a good understanding of how tough a grind to get through the MAC season is with this squad?
That's a good question. I don't know that answer for sure. I told the guys that I was not surprised one iota that Buffalo beat NIU. I mean, I'm just literally when I saw it the first time, all of that, was not surprised. And if NIU had beat Buffalo, I would have not been surprised.
When the new turf was installed at the stadium, does something magical get put at the 1-yard line? Because you've had a couple weeks there where some real magic has happened. First, Jacksonville State snaps it over the quarterback's head, and now you get a 99-yard fumble recovery, scoop and score.
It's either magical or sacred. It's something. Yeah, I don't know. But I think both of those did happen in the same area.
Can I ask you about Joey Mattert? He had a block on there. He's kind of popped up a little bit over the last couple weeks playing-wise. Tell me a little bit about him and why he's earned himself the playing time that he has.
So he came to us from Harlan, just up the road, and works his tail off, tough, really good athlete, and his path was going to be through special teams. And so I think I mentioned that we took him to Washington because we had a punt block dialed up, and Coach Teagarden and Coach McInnes went back and literally studied all of our camp punt block circuit periods. And after looking at that, said, you know what, Joey Mattert we need him on the punt block team. And so Joey traveled, I believe, for the first time ever, and then was obviously part of the punt block unit, this last week versus St. Francis. And he gets credit as he should. Kendrick gets credit as he should. Sterling Miles, and there are others as well. Sterling Miles really made that happen. But yeah, so Joey is, and then we've played all the running backs that we have that are healthy, just in the short season that we've had so far, and so yeah, he's really thrown his hat in the ring.
Jesus Gomez, special teams player for the third week in a row. Should we just start using clips from previous weeks asking you about him, or he's money. He's been unbelievable this season. Yeah,
it's been a really good start. Feels as though I keep saying, like, he was really banged up last year, and then through the off season, I think we were wise with how we let him rest and try to get him back to full health. And coach said he was probably a little sore. I mean, kicked the ball off a ton, a lot of field goals and extra points. So we're just trying to keep him healthy, so that he can do what he does.
Last question for me. Jeremiah Salem got to play, ends up tying a school record for the longest touchdown pass in school history on his very first pass at the college level. Speak a little bit about his play, but also what Cole Snyder has meant to that quarterback room with the experience and the professionalism he brings in.
I sit in on the quarterback meetings a bunch, and it's I don't know, it matters, you just think about all of those guys want to be the guy and always have been the guy, and so, how do you get a bunch of guys to sit in a room and talk to each other, right, and just not compete against each other, outwardly all the time and whatnot. It's a great room. Coach Pike does a great job. They're friends. They're helping each other. They support each other. I don't want to put words in Jeremiah's mouth, but he was competing with Cole, and still is, but through the winter and the spring and all of that. But at the same time, I do think they really like each other. I remember, Cole coming out of spring was just like, man, Jeremiah, was having a great spring, and so I think they make each other better, and I think that goes for the whole room.
Thank you, Coach.
Alex? Coach, earlier you were talking about how your offense was, playing a little bit off rhythm last game. What's kind of like the cause of that? Is that just like guys not being on the same page? Is it miscommunication? Is it just coming into the game with low energy? What seems to be the issues there?
Yeah, hard to admit that it may have been, low energy. I didn't see that coming, and ultimately, that's my job is to make sure that at 2:02 on Saturday afternoon that we're at our absolute best and firing on all cylinders, and emotionally, mentally, physically, all of those things. And it's give credit to St. Francis for sure, but yeah, we were just a little bit off kilter, and I don't know that it was one specific thing. I think St. Francis had something to do with that, and I think we had a lot of new faces playing as well, and that was part of it. All week, as a staff, our attention was trying to get who is going to be ready and who are we getting ready and all the different combinations. And then we weren't sharp, weren't in rhythm, on Saturday.
So far this season, you guys are in the positive in the turnover margin. A lot of effort plays that have to go into that. How do you feel about your guys' effort into making those kinds of plays?
The effort's been there defensively all the way through. It just really hadn't, got it going until this last week. Those first two takeaways were, critical. Stopped the first two drives, and like you mentioned, one on the 1 yard line, and then made it a score. So all of a sudden we're up 7-0, and you know what I mean? We're losing the game, but we're winning score-wise. So those are two critical takeaways. And then offensively, you know, after 4 games now, we've turned it over 1 time, which is really good. And we are all aware that that doesn't make us good, you know, this Saturday at taking away and taking care of it. You know, we have to be ball aware on both sides of the ball and really take care of it, and then continue to disrupt the ball in all the ways that we focus on. It'll be essential for us to win football games in the MAC, to win the turnover takeaway ratio. That's all there is to it.
Elijah Jackson Anderson, the last couple of weeks, especially in the Jacksonville State game, you know, he's been really coming alive. You know, had the really nice touchdown score against Jacksonville State. Last week he got some starting minutes, you know, competing with Dante McMillan, who's hurt right now, and Delbert Mims too. What have you seen out of him and his progression over the past couple of years and starting to come into fruition now?
He's an explosive, dynamic athlete who is also really physical. You know, if you go back and watch his high school highlights, he's might have been a better defensive player, you know, than offensive player. And I mean that. I mean, he is really, really, really physical. And so just a great overall football player. And, you know, we were talking about Joey Mattern. He really has made a name for himself first on special teams as well. I mean, he can run. He's got great speed. His effort is awesome. He cares. And so he's been on special teams and will continue to be. And, yeah, I mean, is playing running back and doing a really good job with that. He's one of those guys where he can put his foot in the ground and change directions, and I mean leaving like 180 degrees, you know, when he's seemingly going full speed. And so I'm expecting some really dynamic, explosive plays out of him this season. And some of his focus needs to be on not trying to make every single play, right, a 99-yard touchdown, just reading it and taking what comes. But he's a real weapon.
And my last, on the last player availability sheet, announced that Zach Motion was going to be out for the year. You know, having to replace a lot of guys in the linebacker room, he's one of those holdovers, one of those seniors. You know, your thoughts on losing him for the year and what he could have meant for you guys had he been able to play the rest of the year?
He'll still have a huge impact on our team, even though he's not going to be playing. You know, he's a leader. He's Eastern Michigan football, and so he'll still have a huge impact on this team and this season. But yeah, we will certainly miss him out on the field. You know, anybody who watched the Jacksonville State game, that 4th down stop was incredible, and it shows a lot about who he is as a player. He's a fantastic athlete who's really fast. He was on the scout team for a couple of years, and I mean, it was like every day, you know, talking to the defensive staff saying, I'm telling you, Zach is really, really, really good. And they knew that he was. And so it's just been super unfortunate with an injury last year and now another one. But you know, he still has a lot of really, really good football ahead. And unfortunately, he's getting good at impacting our team without playing.
Thank you.
Coach, congratulations on the 36-0 win. The team excelled at all phases of the game, offense, defense, and special teams. What does this performance do momentumly to build for the conference play?
Yeah, thanks. I don't know that we felt great, you know, about the win. And in a lot of ways that we did, there was a lot of excitement. It was mainly for guys who hadn't played before or who hadn't played a lot that got opportunities. I mean, I love that about our team. There was genuine excitement, you know, from guys who play most of the time for the guys that got to play that, you know, don't ordinarily play a whole lot. And there was some, I mean, you get a 99-yard, you know, touchdown from David Carter on a fumble recovery, which is you said a record breaker, and then Jeremiah Salem has a tying, you know, record breaker. You block a punt for a touchdown, you shut them out. I mean, there's a lot of good things, but you can't have it both ways. I mean, I'm never going to change from this. Either you're going after playing your best and winning is a byproduct of that, you know, or it's, hey, you win and it doesn't matter whether you play, you know, well or not, and then you just move on. And I'm in the former group, not the latter, and really want our team to grow into that as well. I think that's, you know, when you got a chance to have a championship mindset, it is a long season. And like I said earlier, you know, we're not good enough to win a MAC championship. Is there time? Yes. Can we? Absolutely. Are we there? No. You know, and so I don't know about momentum, right? It's there were certainly positives that we want to continue with. You look at the non-conference, you know, part of the season. We've gotten to play a lot of people, some because we had to and some because we were able to. So we've got a lot of experience. At some spots, though, you probably want a little bit more continuity and chemistry and playing together, and maybe that hasn't happened quite as much as you'd like. So I don't know, like, you can't have it both ways again. So, you know, I know, Kent State, the way that they schedule, they play some of the hardest teams in the country every year. You know, they played 3 really, really good. I'm trying to think if any of those teams have a loss.
I don't know if Pitt's lost or not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they've played 3 undefeated, you know, top whatever teams in the country. And, you know, there's a number of teams in our conference that do that quasi-regularly. And when the MAC season starts, the records, they honestly don't matter. You know, Central is 1-0, Buffalo's 1-0, NIU is 0-1, Ball State is 0-1, everybody else is 0-0, and so yeah, I mean, I think there can be some healthy confidence and, you know, all of that, and it's, you know, figuring out how to win, and but I think it's also, I've been in this league for 11 years, I think it's a mistake to look at the conference and look at the non-conference records and whatnot, and think that you can predict how things are going to go. That's crazy.
Yeah, and going along with that, what are just some areas that you're like looking to improve going into Kent State, like just along with what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, our some of the things specifically, I mean, we've got to do away with the penalties and stop hurting ourselves on special teams, because we've had some really great plays, but we just got to be more consistent in that area. It can't be a really good and then a really bad. Offensively, you know, our short yardage offense has not been as productive as we need it to be on 3rd and 4th down. You know, defensively, we really needed to take the ball away, and hadn't done that for the first 3, but did that this last week, and so that needs to become a trend, you know, and not just sort of a one-time occurrence in that way. So those are some of the things that just stick out right away.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
Coach Jefferson Adam in the room. You guys had another great week at getting after the quarterback. You're one of the top teams in the nation in sacks. Could you talk about him and his role in this defense?
So glad he's here. We begged him to come a year or so ago, but we got him in the end. In Ypsi local, super proud of that. We're super proud of him. He's built of all the right stuff. I'll never forget, I was probably maybe in February, you know, we did community service and reading in elementary schools, and he came up to me a couple days after that, I think it was, and said, man, it was a surreal moment. You know, I read to kids at my elementary school, you know, and has already made an impact on the field. But he just fits us. You know, great human being, loves football, and is already just completely a part of our team and our program. And yeah, super, super proud of him.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, thanks for your time.
Okay,
Your turn.
go get him.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Yeah. That'd be great.
What part of that journey did you realize, I need to be an Ypsilanti, this is where my journey needs to go?
Last year, or actually, I'd say 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was coming out of junior college, and Eastern was recruiting me hard, and I was in and out of here practically, you know what I mean, like once a month, I'd say. In like the summertime, I would chop it up with Needham, and I always, like, Eastern was my dream school because I was down the road, and I remember just like, man, like I would do anything to play for Eastern, and I finally got that opportunity. But you know, Power 5 offers started to come in, and me being 19 years old, 20 years old, I just kind of was caught into the, you know, man, I want to go Power 5, and you know what I'm saying, and I kind of turned my back toward Eastern, and just the love and just how hard I was being recruited, and how well I was being recruited here. So it was always love, you know what I mean? And when I went to Iowa State, it was kind of like I just did not feel culturally that I fitted. I did not feel, I just didn't feel like I fitted in the program. And, you know, my heart was at Eastern. And as soon as I entered the transfer portal, I got a FaceTime call from Needham and Creighton. And, you know, they were just like, come home. And it was a battle. It was a battle between them and Buffalo. And I ended up, you know what I mean, coming back home. And I didn't realize how much of an impact being at home would do, not only for the community, but, you know, me and my family. I didn't realize how, you know, how much, I'd say just like the energy that you feel, and just like the motivation that you feel, just like being in the same parts of the city that you just remember being a kid at, you know what I mean? So it's honestly a blessing. I couldn't ask for anything more. So yeah.
What's it like to play for Ben Needham?
Coach Needham, he's one of the best coaches I've ever seen. The way he gets through to you as a coach is unbelievable to me. He's a tough coach. He'll get on you. He'll make sure that he holds you accountable, and make sure that you're doing your job and your responsibilities. But you know it's out of love, and you know that it comes from a place where not only he knows that you can get better, but he wants you to believe that you can get better as well. And just even the D unit meetings, kind of just like how our D unit meetings is just so interactive, and it's like it makes you feel like, you know what I'm saying, like you just makes you love football. Yeah, it's awesome playing for him, and every game, you know what I'm saying, like obviously you have your external motivation that you have, but I always, man, I'm gonna bust my tail for Coach Needham and Coach T and Coach Creighton and those guys, because they truly believe in us. They truly believe in us. So
Chris Creighton was asked about the low energy, kind of going to the St. Francis game. Maybe there was an expectation that you guys would beat them.
Yeah.
Now you're going to play a Kent State team that's 0-4, but we know they've played 3 Power 4 teams.
Yep.
How do you avoid falling into that same trap, going on the road for a program that hasn't won their road MAC opener since 2016?
right, just just understanding that, just remember what you're doing this for. Obviously, our motto is BET, believe, excellence together, and just remembering why that was formed. Obviously, you know about the bowl game, and you know about, you know, the negativity that was placed on Eastern, and the comments made about Eastern, and the doubt that's been placed on this program, and just going into MAC play, just understanding that we're here to prove something, and we're here to prove not only the people that don't believe in us wrong, but to ourselves. You know what I mean? We're trying to prove to ourselves right. You know what I mean? And just remembering that, and taking it one day at a time, and dominating the day, dominating every day, not looking towards the bye week or looking towards coming back home, not looking at, oh, we just beat St. Francis and St. Francis beat Kent State. Just like Coach Creighton said, anybody can beat anybody at any given day. So just remembering our why, and just continue to believe, and and just avoiding the noise, avoiding, you know what I mean? Because complacency is real, and you want to avoid it at all costs.
That's it from you, Jefferson. Thank you.
Yep.
Jefferson, when you when I talk to some guys who are third, fourth year guys, maybe they came from out of state, they found out about Eastern because, they went on recruiting visits, they checked out this place, they looked at the nice facilities, like, wow, this is cool, I'd love to spend my, next few years here.
Yeah.
And you've had a childhood in this city where you've had neighbors, probably have conversations about this program, have certain opinions about what was going on at the times and stuff. For you, having grown up with thoughts about Eastern, looking around the place now, what do you see as this is a place where it's how different it's been from the time that, you were a youngster?
Yeah. When I was growing up, Eastern was not winning, and I knew about Coach Creighton before he even knew who I was, because obviously I grew up here, and he got here and turned this whole place around. And from just being a kid and just kind of the negative stigma that was placed, because I remember Eastern was about to become a Division II program. I remember that. And Creighton coming here and turning his place around, and just coming in, just seeing all this nice stuff, and Max Crosby just donating $1 million to get that track off the field, and all this, and it's just, I don't know, it's just beautiful, and it's just you can kind of feel that it's Eastern Michigan is slowly but surely getting the respect that it deserves as a program, and it's awesome to see. Just the other day I was in the store, you know what I mean? People saying congrats on the win, just stuff like that, stuff that you wouldn't, you know what I mean? Because the stigma around Eastern was kind of you know what I mean? I didn't even know they were, you know what I'm saying, a D1 program, you know what I mean? But obviously when you win games, people hop on board. So just got to continue to do that. So, yeah.
Now, like you said, you knew Creighton before he knew who you were. What do you remember about your first impressions, maybe just watching clips of him on social media or whatever? What do you remember about your first impressions of him, and then having the chance to, finally meet him a couple years ago and now finally play for him? What was your kind of experiences of knowing who he is for the first time to actually knowing him?
Yeah, I just remember even in his the same way he talks now is the same way he talked before, just with a lot of passion, and he really believes in what he's saying, and it's just powerful when he speaks. We'll be in a team meeting sometimes, and it's just I'm in awe as to how moved I am from how powerful his speeches are, and so it was seeing that growing up, and then being here now, it's the same, but it's just kind of it's surreal. It's surreal. I soak it in all the time. Not only just Creighton, but being here in general. You know what I'm saying? I remember in high school, there's a little ledge on, like on that hill right over there. At night, I used to hop the ledge, and I used to do drills on this field, and I used to run stadiums at night, and just in hopes, like, man, like maybe, you know what I mean, I work hard enough, maybe I'll get an opportunity to play here. And so yeah, every day it's like a surreal moment for me, just a surreal experience. So.
Now you are playing in here, you are competing in that D end room, you know, there are a lot of guys that are, you know, in that room making competitive, a couple returning starters.
Yeah.
You know, what are you looking at, you know, teammates wise, is, you know, guys that are trying to make you better and you making them better? What are you practicing with over there?
Yeah, so just like this is the best defensive end room that I've ever been a part of in terms of depth. We got 6 guys right now that we rotate, and all of us could start here. And in our room, we don't look at it as who's the starters. We look at it as one guy's in, he needs a blow, another person goes in, another person goes in, and we rotate, and we just keep each other fresh. And in practice, we go hard and we compete and we make each other better and we hold each other accountable, and we're not afraid to hold each other accountable. Like, we're boys outside of this, outside of football, but you know what I mean? If there are times where you need to pick up, you know, some, you know what I mean, some slack, then you'll be held accountable. And I love that about the room. Coach T. Garden is a great leader of that defensive end room. He sets this great standard and holds high expectations for us in that room. He's a real father figure in that room. And we just answer your question, like, we compete. You know what I mean? Like, ever since I've gotten here, it's just been competitive. Ever since Carter and Sterling have come back from their injury, they've competed hard. Justo and Joey competed hard. Me and Trey compete hard. You know what I'm saying? Every day, and we make each other better. And man, we're deep, and we just keep each other fresh, and yeah, we're a really good group.
And my last, you know, this is the week where, you know, the MAC championship really starts, you know, it starts now, right, with Kent State coming up. You guys want to get first ever MAC championship, something that your hometown city has never seen be taken home. What do you individually have to do to make sure that happens?
Clean up the little stuff. You know, just avoid the noise and just cleaning up the little stuff. You know what I mean? Just kind of doing everything that I know I could do, but better, and just better and better and better. And just understanding that there's always room for improvement, and to not become complacent, and to not look at stats, and to not look at records, or, you know what I mean? Just, again, avoid the noise and just watching film and just, man, what could I have done on this play better? What can I have done on this play better? And doing that day in and day out, and before you know it, you'll be celebrating. But until then, just kind of putting the head down and just grinding, and just believing in our motto, bet. And yeah, so individually, just clean up little stuff, just little stuff. Any, I mean, it could be as specific as, you know what I mean, my inside foot up and my outside foot back, you know what I mean, this amount of, like 6 inches, you know what I mean, it could be my hand placement, you know what I mean, in the chest line versus, you know what I mean, a little higher up, I don't know, you know what I mean, but just always just kind of critiquing yourself and finding ways to just get better.
Thank you.
This was EMU's first shutout win since 2008. How does that feel for you to be a part of such a historic performance in this program?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, it makes me excited. Like, we got a bunch of dogs, and I love that. I love that, and it gives me chills that, like, man, I'm playing with a bunch of dudes that just want to get better, but they're just dogs. You know what I mean? So it's awesome. It's awesome. And, you know, obviously it's cool to celebrate that, but 24-hour rule, flush it, and go on to Kent. And just remember our why, and again, remember our motto and what we're doing this for.